In 1991, Ukraine became independent from communist law and was suddenly free to openly show their faith and worship the Lord. 10 years later, First Baptist began a sister church relationship with House of Prayer in Dumanci, Ukraine.
Each year, groups of people traveled to the Ukraine for a 2-week short-term mission. They encourage the church, supply dental and optical services, assist in day camps, youth, women's, and men's ministries. Their day camp is similar to our VBS and is financed through our VBS Kids offering. The funds raised at the annual Ukraine Gala and silent auction are used to help to send people to the Ukraine, who hand carry over these funds. 30% of these funds are then used as an outreach, and 70% are used for the needs of the Dumanci Church.
Tim Vidstein and their church were short a couple of people to go to Ukraine. And I remember Pastor Kim asking people in our church, anybody interested in going with the Vidsteins. They needed 2 people. And I do remember sitting at my kitchen sink doing dishes and thinking, who else would go? And I saw Shirley Metterling walking across the street. I went to the bank and I saw Shirley. And I said, Shirley, can I talk to you for a minute? She was, okay. And she came across over the other side, and I said, Shirley, I'm going to go to the Ukraine, and the Lord told me I should ask you if you wanted to come.
Okay, in 1998, Mary Dieter came into the bank and wanted to know if I would go to Dumanci with her on a short-term mission.
And she just stared at me. I mean, I said, I know, this sounds crazy, Shirley. And she said, well, where's the Ukraine? She had no idea. She said,
and the very first thing I said, are there snakes there?
She said, let me talk to Les, and I'll get back to you.
Wanted to know if I didn't have to ask Leslie first. I said, no, I'm okay.
So she talked to Les. Les and Shirley came over to the house to visit with us, and she said, yeah, she said, I've always wanted to go on a mission trip.
And I've always had a heart for missions because they come back and tell their stories, and I thought, oh, this would be a good opportunity, wouldn't it?
My only role, I never did go back. I never went to Dumanci. I only went to Sahanivka. And my only role in all of this, I really feel, was just to introduce Shirley to the people and the people to Shirley.
In 1999, Mary didn't go back, but I still joined the Alvarado Church, and then we heard of a church that was close by that their sister church stopped coming to see them, but they would send money. So Tim Vidstein and our translator and I went over to Dumanci to meet with the pastor and see what type of relationship they had, and then we went back to Roseau, and then I presented to the Baptist church. So then in 2001, the Baptist church took over Dumanci as their sister church.
I was really privileged to be on the first team to go to Dumanci, along with Pastor Hagley and Shirley. And was it a thrill to fly over there and to find people who were prepared for us to come. They weren't expecting us to do all the work. We joined together. I will never forget the words that they left us with. Don't forget us. And it thrills me as each year someone's gone back, and we have not forgotten them, nor have they forgotten us. What a beautiful relationship we have with our sister church.
This van is owned by the church, and I'd like you to try and count the kids coming out of it.
Oh, gee. There's no end to this. They just keep coming out. How many sardines can you get in a bus? All right.
Hi, I'm Lori Queen, and I had the opportunity and privilege to go to the Ukraine in 2003. I was 20 years old and got to go with my mom, Becky Dunham, my brother Jesse Dunham, and Dustin Shoheim. And we had a very powerful time in Ukraine. Definitely enjoyed my trip there. We were there for 10 days, I believe. We were supposed to go and serve them during the VBS, and we really weren't needed. I mean, they could have done it without us for sure, but there was an attraction of the Americans and the fun gifts that we could bring. That was a few of the pictures with the kids with their gifts, just how that was so special for them to receive the simplest things of crayons and markers and pencils and paper, just really simple gifts, but yet made a highlight for them from these Americans.
Why did you go to Ukraine?
Since our church was sponsoring this, it felt like a good time and a good opportunity to take, and I felt as though I could help a little bit with the VBS that Shirley had so successfully got off the ground in the village, and then also brought some glasses for people who I thought maybe I could help assist and give them free of charge as well. And so, yeah.
While we were there, we had the privilege of attending a funeral of an elderly lady who had passed away. I remember hearing the hammering of the men building the casket as we arrived, and the timeless photo of her sister sitting in front of the casket mourning the deceased. They always would load the casket on a flatbed truck, and they would follow the truck from the home to the burial ground, no matter how far, whether it be winter or summer, they would always walk.
Joe went that year, and we had a great time. We roomed together. We lived at Anatoly's house. So this time it was Joe and I, and that was a lot of fun getting to know Joe. And of course Joe met his wife there. I didn't know there was a romance going on at the time, but it turned out. So, yeah, we had a great time to get to know Joe. Remember, we had a drive here at the church, and many bundles of clothes came in and shoes. And I specifically remember Becky Dunham going through and cleaning those shoes, and then eventually they were bagged or boxed and went off. When we got to the village, then we helped carry them into the storehouse of the church, and they had taken quite a while to arrive by crate to the village, and so we got to be part of the arrival of that delivery, even though we didn't take them on the plane. They had come over by ship.
I went to Ukraine in 2005 and 2007, and for me, it was all about obedience. I sensed that God was calling me to go 2 years before I finally went. I remember when I was growing up, we would have lots of missionaries come to our church, and I remember thinking in the back of my head, don't send me to a foreign country. But little did I know that God had blessing upon blessing in store for me. I remember describing Dumanci when I came back as 100 years behind us. They had everything that we have here in the United States just 10 miles away in Cherkasy. but it's just unaffordable to them. And I remember describing the people of Dumanci as very hospitable. They are faith-filled, very generous. They are very colorful. They love their flowers. They're creative and intelligent. I think that James 2:5 best describes them. Listen, my dear brothers, has not God chosen those who are poor in the eyes of the world to be rich in faith? They are financially poor, but rich in faith. We are financially rich, but poor in faith. I didn't minister to them. They ministered to me.
The thing that really was important to me was that we built such a strong relationship, that they became family to us, and I miss them. I guess that's the biggest thing. The love we share is absolutely the most important thing to me, is the love that we have in Christ and that we have for one another. That's how it's impacted me, is I tear up. I just tear up. When you go to Ukraine, it's not that we're watching missionaries, but we're watching, this is their life. These people, this is their life. They're not there giving up family to be there. This is it. And I mean, it's such a change. And still, they are so content. That was one thing that, I remember when we got there and Pastor said, do you want to eat or do you want to use the bathroom? We had a choice. He said, you have a choice. You can either eat or you can use the bathroom. Because he said, we have this much water, and it can either be used to prepare the food and clean up, or it can be used to flush the toilet. We chose the food. Michelle went over and knelt down. Was she blind?
She was blind. I think Michelle sang.
She did. That's what I'm saying. Knelt down in front of her and sang a solo, and it was just beautiful. That lady was just, her face was just rapturous, like I'm going home. I mean, she was just enjoying it so much. It was really special. Michelle has a beautiful voice, so it was easy for her to impromptu come up with something to share, and that was very, very meaningful for that lady.
One of the things that I wanted to do was work with the men, because over there the men do not help much in the church with the youth, with the kids. So I had a men's meeting on Pastor Anatoly's request, and to share with them how the men over here help with Bible school, help with Sunday school. And I had one, Pastor Anatoly's cousin, who just couldn't fathom that, how you would do that. And he was a beekeeper. And I said, you find a couple of kids in town and take them and show them how your operation works with the bees. And through that, then you invite them to church. So I don't know if he did that or not, but at least we had a chance to plant the seed to get these men more involved in the church.
July 30th, 2010, Shirley Mitterling, Rebecca Danielson, and myself, Vonda Danielson, went over to the Ukraine for, I think it's about 10 days, and we returned August 9th. We were able to bring over a lot of supplies for the VBS that we had there, and also the money that was raised through the Ukraine Gala. I guess if I were to think about the relationships that were developed that I think was important that we were able to develop was with the youth group. Because Rebecca was 13 when she went over, we were able to make relationships with the youth group. We were able to interact on a different basis. They incorporated her into helping with the VBS day camps that they did, And she was able to do the game time, which she just totally enjoyed, running around with those kids and being active like kids would. And then they also included her in the youth group activities, which her father said, now don't let Rebecca out of your sight. I'm a little worried about it. I said, okay. And then I got over there and I realized their youth are just the same as our youth. So that was really kind of a neat relationship that I think she was able to develop with the youth.
A big highlight of going to the Ukraine was getting to spend the time with the kids in the VBS program, showing them that we came over there to love on them and enjoy them, and made some lasting relationships. You know, here we are 6 years later and they're still communicating with them. The ladies that came, especially the older ladies, seeing them, the dedication, riding their bikes for such a distance to come to church. The trip made a lasting impression on our daughter Alex. She is currently a senior at Colorado College University and looking to go into full-time ministry. And part of that ministry will be yearly trips to Ukraine and to Dumanci.
Carol Orvis traveled to Tronobia, which is a city across the river from Dumanci. She went 6 times in the years spanning from 1999 to 2011 with another church group to their sister church. Her only wish is to have the health to return.
I think first off, the Lord had been working in my heart for the Ukraine leading up to me even being married. And I felt God saying, go. And okay. But by the time we were going to be going, everybody else but myself were not able to go. And at that time I had also found out I was pregnant. And so fear started creeping in, and giving that over to Him and having that assurance that He's in control. He knows what He's doing. He wants me to go, and so there's a purpose. They're wonderful people, and they live in a different country and they speak a different language, but that's beautiful, and they're just like us.
Ed Grazza has traveled 14 times in his dental ministry exclusively to Dumanci. He has been assisted by his wife Jane, Ruth Ann Erickson, and his assistant Katie Warren. Up until this past November, he has only been allowed to serve the Dumanci Church and the orphanage. This year, with the added support of Jane and Katie, he has expanded his ministry to the village.
In September of 2015, the Dumanci Church celebrated their 35th anniversary. I had the privilege to be there, and It was a wonderful time. Their harvest was coming in. It was in the fall of the year, and a big celebration, and they should celebrate. For 35 years now, that church has been proclaiming the gospel in this little town of Dumanci, Ukraine. They're very effective, they're very efficient, and they're having many people come to know the Lord over there, even amidst the difficult times. And it's sometimes in those difficulties that we see people seeing their need for God. So I was privileged to be able to be there for the 35th anniversary celebration.
Jesus, you are the bread of life. Ісусе, ти хліб життя. Thank you for your provision. Ми дякуємо тобі за те, що ти забезпечуєш нас їжею. Bible says, в Біблії сказано, your grace is sufficient. Твоя милість дуже важлива. Father, we thank you. Отче, дякуємо тобі the life we have, за те життя, яке у нас є. In the name of your Son. В ім'я твого Сина. For the living water. За цю живу воду. Bread of life. І за хліб your friends. Ми дякуємо тобі за все.
While I was there, I was able to go with Pastor Anatoly and visit people in their homes. We bought some care packages and we took some basic food supplies into the homes. It was wonderful. Each morning every morning I was there, Pastor Anatoly would load me up in the car, and we took flour, noodles, cooking oil, and some basic cooking supplies to some of the widows and some of the needy families in the church. And we went to their homes and they welcomed us warmly, and we shared with them and prayed with them. It was remarkable. It was a life-changing experience for me.
You know, when you go over to Ukraine and you think you're going to bless those people, that's the wrong way to do it. We come away blessed more than what we bless them.
You know, so their faith is so strong, those that are dedicated to Christ, that they really can teach you a lesson.
We so often think we are going to serve. How God shows up and He really uses those that we're serving to teach us about who He is and His plans for the world and for salvation.
Pastor Anatoly showed me a ledger of everything that they had spent from the money that the Gala has raised and given them. And the people that are listening to this video should be very proud of that fact that your money is going and being used 110%.
Or once you go, you're going to want to go back. Mm-hmm.
If God calls you to go to Dumanci or somewhere else, go. He'll provide, He'll protect, and He'll stretch and challenge you in your faith if you'll listen and go where He calls you to go. Thank you for your support of the House of Prayer in Dumanci, Ukraine. It's a privilege to partner with them and share the gospel to all nations.